past 7.5 months, I have been living on board the Explorer of the Seas and traveling all over the world. Hello everyone, my name is Jordan. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, very happy you joined us. I am a professional figure skater and I have been working on board a cruise ship for the past 5 years. Travel is by far one of my greatest passions in life alongside figure skating, so getting to combine the two makes for the absolute dream job, and it has been a wild ride the past 5 years. I have loved every single second and it's just been great. As of today, when I am sitting down and filming this, I have 10 days left of my contract, which is absolutely crazy because the time has just flown by. I have seen a lot of different places this contract. I've been very, very fortunate in that we have traveled all over. This contract was really special because not only did I get to visit a bunch of new destinations, it did give me a lot of different variety. So for the first half of the contract, I was positioned in Europe, and for the second half, we have been in the Caribbean. With that being said, I want to share with you my top 10 favorite destinations of the contract. I have given this a lot of thought. It has not been easy and I have loved every single place I have gotten to experience, but I did narrow it down to 10 ports, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit of insight about each place, things that I did, some recommendations, and all that fun stuff. If you guys are not already subscribed, make sure to do so before we jump into it. And if you want to keep up with me wherever I am in the world on a more regular basis, you can follow my other socials. I will have those linked below as always. But without further ado, let's jump on into it. Starting strong with number 10, we have Naples, Italy. Just because it is at the bottom of this list does not mean that it is not amazing. You may or may not know, but my heritage is Italian and I take huge pride in that. Even though I was born and raised in the US, my ancestors are from Calabria, so getting to go back to Italy was just a dream. I went on a family trip many years prior, so to get to go back for a couple days was incredible. Naples was a new destination for me because I have never been, and I had the best pizza of my entire life there. I had a lot of fun walking around this city. It is very, very populated. It's very crowded. There are just so many people everywhere you go, but that's part of the charm. If you are in Italy, you absolutely have to get pizza. That is like a non-negotiable. And on top of it, pizza did originate from Naples. So if you're not getting pizza, I don't know what you're doing. We only had one port day in Naples, so I didn't get to see as much of it as I hoped, but it was really fun to walk around all the streets. There was a lot of little markets and trinket shopping. If you like shopping for souvenirs and things like that, they have a ton of that throughout all of the streets of Naples. I also had a very delicious Aperol Spritz little daytime drink with Graham, so all in all, it was a very nice city. I enjoyed it. It is, again, very, very crowded. If that's not your scene, might not be your favorite place to visit, but I really enjoyed it and I wish I had more time to explore. Number 9 on the list is Cardena, Spain. This was another port that we only got to visit one time, but I had always heard really great things about. I absolutely loved the vibe of this city. It was very quaint. It was not very big. Like, you do not need a ton of time to walk through the city. Obviously, you can venture out a little bit further, but the actual city center is pretty small. It is a very walkable city. I always opted for my Stan Smiths most of the time when I got off in Europe just because I love walking and they were comfortable shoes, but it's a very, very walkable city if you don't like to walk, you know, miles and miles. There's a bunch of cutesy little cafes and restaurants and shopping, and the architecture in Cardena was absolutely stunning. Please forgive me if I am pronouncing it wrong. I'm sure at least 10 people are going to come at me for that because I can't seem to do anything right when it comes to pronunciation, but that's just how I'm saying it. So like I said, we only had one port day here. It was right before the crossing, so it was actually the start of the crossing cruise. It was a little bit chilly outside and I did get some mulled wine, which was a really nice treat. So took a lot of pictures here and just really enjoyed the vibe overall. It was definitely a much more laid-back vibe than Naples was. Very, very charming city and definitely worth a visit. Number 8, Sicily, Italy. I have another Italian port on the list. I fell in love with Sicily. I really enjoyed my time in Sicily, as I did all of the ports that I'm going to be listing. But again, there is just something so special about Italy to me. It feels like home, and I really felt the presence of my grandparents when I was in Italy. They have both passed away, but I felt like they were with me and just smiling down at me, seeing how much I enjoyed my port time in Italy. So we actually docked in Messina, and what's so great about this is that you can obviously venture off and see much more of Sicily aside from just Messina. I did stay nearby just in the general area, but some of my cast made a trip to Taormina, which I've heard is absolutely stunning. It's up in the mountains. It's very quiet, small little town, and definitely worth a visit. So if I ever find myself back in Sicily, I will definitely be going there. I have a huge passion for eating. It's one of my favorite activities when I am off in port, especially when I'm over in Europe. So I did have the best arancini in Messina. There was like a very well-known family-owned business that had been there, I think, since the 1800s or maybe early 1900s. I need to look it up, but the arancini there was out of this world. They had like 30 different flavors you could get. I just got the original, and it was absolutely massive, so delicious, and definitely worth a try. Messina kind of gave the same vibe as Malaga for me. I visited Malaga, Spain back in 2020, actually right before the pandemic really got crazy, and I don't know, they kind of give a similar vibe to me. Once again, very walkable city, decent size. There's a nice strip with a lot of shopping, if that's your vibe. I actually had a little solo date in the morning. I got off, I had a cappuccino and a chocolate croissant, and it was, I swear to God, the best pastry and coffee combo I've had in my whole life. I will have the name of the cafe I visited when I was there. I also really like exploring the local shops and boutiques, and I bought some really nice gifts for my mom when I was in Messina. Number 7, Couture, Montenegro. This port is definitely one I wish that I could have visited more often. I actually only got to have one day in Couture, even though we visited every other cruise, just because it was a very complicated port to visit. This port is a tender port if you're ever cruising, so just keep that in mind. You have to get a tender ticket if you are a guest. If you're a crew member, you just have to wait in a line and hope that you get lucky and they can squeeze you on a tender. We also always had shows on this port day, so we didn't arrive until 1 p.m. and warm-ups were around 3 p.m. So it was really hard to get off and get back on time with that tender in order to start work. This is one of the most stunning visits. You have the most gorgeous view of the mountains, and if you do get off the ship, I definitely recommend taking the hike. I want to say it was 10 euros, give or take, to take this hike, and it goes all the way up. It is breathtaking. You have such a nice panoramic view of Couture and the ship tendered in the middle, and it's beautiful. There's also a lot of cats. If you like cats, I have become a cat person this contract just because they are roaming pretty much every city that we went to. Number 6, we have Mykonos, Greece. I personally really enjoyed Mykonos. It was different than what I expected, a lot more people than what I expected, but I love the hustle and bustle of a city, so it really didn't bother me too much. If you go, you absolutely have to visit the historic windmills. That is a landmark that you cannot miss. Also, if you are lucky, you might see Petrus the pelican. I saw him our final visit in Mykonos, and it was so special. I freaked out. We were sitting at lunch, and he just started walking by. So that was a really cool thing to see, but obviously you can't really track him. You just gotta get lucky. I will say, if you go looking for him, you're not gonna find him. He's gonna show up when you least expect it. Where our ship was docked every single week, we had to take a water taxi over to get off the pier right in Mykonos, but it was only 2 euros per way, so €4 round trip, which is very affordable in my opinion. Mykonos is kind of like a maze. There are so many different things to see. There are so many fun shops to look in. There's, you know, anything from a souvenir shop to high-end like luxury stores like Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Dior, all of that. Also, if you love a gyro, definitely have one there. There's a place called Jimmy's, I think it's called, and I want to say it was 4 or 5 euros. There's a lot to see, and of course it is very Instagrammable, so you can get a lot of really nice photos when you are there. Next on the list, number 5, I have Athens, Greece. So Athens is a place that I have had on my bucket list as long as I can remember, and getting to actually make it to Athens was kind of unbelievable in itself. Our ship actually didn't dock right in Athens. We were docked in Piraeus, which is a little bit outside, so you do have to either take an Uber or a taxi there, or you can also take the public transport. So we ended up taking the train. We somehow managed to take the train into Athens. We figured it out, and getting to see the Acropolis was one of the most incredible memories that I've made of the contract. What do they call it? Core memory? Yeah, definitely a core memory, not just from the contract, in life, honestly. When you see something in pictures or videos versus seeing it with your own eyes in front of you, you are literally right there. It is like nothing else. Also, such a weird feeling to be learning about all of these things when you're in school and you don't really pay attention as much as you probably would if you learned about it when you are an adult. But I have a huge appreciation for Greek mythology, and definitely now that I'm older, I appreciate history so much more. So getting to be in Athens was so cool. If you are ever in Athens, I definitely recommend getting the multi-ticket, so you can either wait in the line and talk to a physical person, or you can get the ticket from a machine. But if you wait in the line, you can get the multi-ticket, which gets you entry to 6 different things, including the Acropolis, for 30 euro, which is a much better deal than just buying one ticket for the Acropolis for 20 euro. So that's a little life hack if you are ever finding yourself there. I also found this incredible cafe. It was kind of like iced coffee to go in these sealed jars. Coolest thing, I've never seen it before. I'll have that place linked, as well as a really gorgeous rooftop restaurant, which gave you the most stunning view of the Acropolis in the distance. I need to speed it up because I gotta go to All Skates in 10 minutes. Moving on to number 4, I have Split, Croatia. Croatia is a new country that I got to tick off this contract, which was awesome, and we visited every single week, so I really feel like I got to see a lot of the cities that we did visit in Croatia. Definitely want to go back when my time allows it, because I am very busy and I'm pretty much always on a ship, going ship to ship. So when I have more downtime, I definitely want to plan a trip back to Croatia, because it is such an underrated place. I mean, I definitely think the hype is becoming more real as we go on in time, especially with social media, but I absolutely loved Croatia way more than I anticipated. Once again, a very walkable city, very gorgeous. They are selling a lot of Game of Thrones memorabilia here. Absolutely love the vibe of Split. I will say it was, once again, very busy, but we were there in the summer months, so I think if you go more in the fall time, it's not going to be quite as chaotic. I did not make it to the waterfalls, but I do live really close to Niagara Falls, so I thought, you know what, I might not be that impressed. However, they do look gorgeous, and if I did have more time to do that, I will do that when I go back one day. It was a very nice little short hike that we did. It didn't take too long. It probably took us like 30 minutes to get to the top of the hill. And once you get up to the top, you have a really gorgeous panoramic view of the city and the ship, of course. Because we went every week, I started to feel a little bit more like a local, and I had my favorite spots to visit. The first being Oakberry. This is a chain acai bowl place, but it was so good. It hit every single time. Secondly, I absolutely loved this restaurant called Submarine. It is like a burger joint, but I always got this salad that was out of this world. And thirdly, I always stopped at D16, which was one of many aesthetic cafes in Split. I feel like Split is very open to the digital nomad lifestyle. There's a ton of really nice cafes where you can sit, have a coffee, and work and not be bothered. I really enjoyed that vibe. So if you are a solo traveler, I feel like this is a good city to visit. Number 3, we are getting down to the nitty-gritty. I have Santorini, Greece. Santorini is a place I've been also wanting to visit my entire life, and getting to actually go there was incredible. It definitely was different than what I expected, but I did really enjoy it. This is probably one of the busiest ports, if you will, and I didn't realize, which sounds really dumb, but I did not realize that it was up on a hill. So you actually have to either take the cable car up or you have to hike the donkey path, which I do not recommend. In order to get into Santorini easily, because it is another tender port, you have to wake up super early. So I was always waking up at 5:30 to get on the 6 a.m. tender, and from there it's very easy to get the cable car. If you're waking up that early, you don't have to wait in the line for the cable car. You should be one of the first to get on, and then the city is waking up with you. It is a very expensive port, so keep that in mind if you are visiting. When you get to Santorini, you're probably most likely in Fira, and from there you can go to other places such as Ia. We took a bus to see Red Beach, and we were going to swim there, but the tides were a little too crazy that day, so that did not happen, but it was still really cool to see. Also, I had the best baklava of my life in Santorini. It was this tiny, like, off the beaten path bakery, but I feel like that's where you find some of the best things, in like the little shacks or the less advertised places. So if I can find the name of that bakery, I will have it listed. Number 2, I have Argostoli, Greece. Argostoli is by far the port that surprised me the most. I knew absolutely nothing about this place. I never heard of it before, but it was one of my favorites. It's in a very ideal location where you can see a bunch of the island, so I definitely recommend renting a car. Once again, you are in Greece, so it's absolutely beautiful wherever you look. But we got to see a lot of very unique things while we were there. The best thing you can do for yourself if you visit Argostoli is rent a car. I also rented a bike one of the port days, and that was really fun, but it is very hilly, so just keep that in mind if you do that. You'll get a good workout in. They had these bicycle boats. I don't know what you would properly call them, but you can rent one of those and go around near the port. A few of my recommendations are the Melisani Lake, the Drogorati Cave. Take a trip to Fiscardo. Also, if you have the day to relax, you might want to stop at the Thalassa Boutique Hotel. This was a gorgeous hotel, had really nice food, pool, and it was just very serene and very relaxing. Visit the St. Theodori Lighthouse. This is a monument in Argostoli. And also take a trip to Assos Village. It is very cute. And last but not least, my number 1 destination of the contract was Dubrovnik, Croatia. I absolutely love Dubrovnik, fell in love with the city entirely. The architecture is incredible, it's very historic. If you are a Game of Thrones fan, you will absolutely fall in love and just melt, because there's a lot of very important scenes that were filmed in Dubrovnik. I personally don't watch Game of Thrones, so I didn't really know where anything was, but if you like Game of Thrones and that's your kind of vibe, it's really cool. We did a lot of really cool things here because we did come very often. We did a boat day with the cast. We got to see some different caves. We scooted around the city. We found a private like cliff to jump off of. It was a very secluded area and super cool. The beaches are stunning. There's a bunch of really nice beaches. We went to the Bellevue beach, had some really nice gelato. I visited this really nice eco restaurant in the countryside, and I also did take a trip to Saptat. So there's a lot to do in Dubrovnik, a lot to see. Once again, a bunch of really great photo opportunities if that's something you're into. There you have it. Those are my top 10 destinations of the contract. Let me know which one you most likely would want to visit. I have run out of time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are not already subscribed, make sure to do so and keep up with all of my upcoming travels. A lot of exciting stuff coming soon. But I love you all to the moon and back. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.